There's a new narrative around Oxford these days. Ole Miss football is no longer the feel-good story with the best uniforms in college football. And no, I won't be arguing with you on that. The powdered blue jerseys with the American flag logo on the side is second to none and was considered an SEC dark horse. No, they're a conference contender now. You know what? Strike that. They're a college football playoff contender. You know what? Strike that too. Given all the names returning for the last dance, Ole Miss is a national championship contender heading into year 5 of the Lane Kiffin era. They return a slew of offensive production, including Trey Harris, Caden Priestcorn, and Jordan Watkins. They scoured the transfer portal to replace quality with quantity, and they also bolstered up their defensive line. Plus, they have a manageable schedule, so making the college football playoff is no longer considered a blessing. It's an expectation to be a part of the dozen dance. But we're doing this series called X Factor for one team, and there is one main X Factor that could make the Rebels a legit national championship program for the first time in what feels like forever. It's Jaxson Dart, who might end up actually winning more than just a title in 2024. So let's go ahead and discuss what's going on SEC Unfiltered. It's Cole Thompson here. Make sure that you like the video, hit the ring notification down below. That way you don't miss a single episode. And of course, hit subscribe because we're talking college football every single day. Download the podcast version of the show. Follow us on social media, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, at SEC Unfiltered for both. Make sure you're following me on social media at Mr. Cole Thompson. And to keep up with the #1 content surrounding your favorite squad, visit SECUnfiltered.com. This episode is brought to you by RHOBACK. Use promo code SECU for 20% off all joggers, polos, hoodies, shorts, much, much more. Promo code SECU. Look good, feel good at RHOBACK.com. For Jackson Arnold, this is a crucial year. He's coming off of a dominant finish to 2022. 3 touchdown passes in the Peach Bowl against Penn State. An 11-2 finish, the best record that Ole Miss has seen in program history. And also, he balled out. You got to remember, when he first touched down in Oxford, people were saying, well, this is going to be our savior. This is going to be the next big name. And then he didn't have the perfect season. But they brought in Spencer Sanders. They also brought in Walker Howard, and it was a quarterback competition. And everyone was like saying, well, let's just make this a fair battle. And that door was shut a week later when he won 73-0 over Mercer with 4 touchdown passes to Trey Harris. And he improved in every single aspect of the game. Completion percentage went up, interception ratio went down, passer rating went up, touchdowns went up. He also was good in the open field as a runner, and he served as a leader in the locker room. Exactly what Lane Kiffin wanted. This is an offense that can reach new heights this year because of what they have returning. Caden Priestcorn, probably going to be your all-SEC conference tight end to begin the year. Trey Harris, arguably the second best receiver in the SEC, probably a top 5 receiver in college football after what he did last season. Jordan Watkins, really good complimentary piece. Juice Walls comes on over from South Carolina. The kid was not good enough to not play in the SEC. He didn't have the grades to play in the SEC. And then he went and balled out at James Madison and nearly put up 1,000 yards in his first season in Columbia. He's going to be a pretty big weapon for this Rebels offense. Defensively, they got better in the trenches. They added in Walter Nolan, Princely Uwin-Manley-Yellen. They got better at linebacker with Chris Pooh-Paul Jr. coming on over. They added in Isaiah Hamilton from Houston at cornerback. They brought in Key Lawrence to replace secondary help in the safety position. There's not any questions around this team. The only question that is, do you live up to the hype? That starts and ends with quarterback. Number 2 is the #1 reason why Ole Miss will be viewed as a legit threat that nobody wants to play in the postseason, or if they're going to be a one and done if they even get into the dozen dance. The way that I view Jaxson Dart this year is the way that I view skiing. Now, I'm a very, very, very seasoned skier. I love doing it. It's actually my favorite thing to do outside of talk college football. But I had to learn from the get-go. When I started off being a kid from Texas, going up into the mountains, I had to be able to get my feet underneath me. And then slowly but surely, I was able to start going down moguls. And now I handle double blacks like it's no one's business because I'm a pro. I love what I do. But I elevated. I learned. I took that next step. I watched videos. I went back and reviewed the tape. I made sure that I was really good at something before I made the jump to something else. That's how I feel about Jaxson Dart this year. He's skiing down the mountain, and he's already been through the blues and the greens and even a few blacks, but now he's got the moguls ahead, and the moguls are the expectations that he has to overcome. Can he be right alongside Carson Beck, a Quinn Ewers, a Jalen Milroe, a Brady Cook, whenever it comes to conversations of the best quarterback in the SEC? Can he be able to lead Ole Miss to not just its best preseason record or the best regular season record, but a college football playoff appearance? Can he hold his own when asked to be the reason for either success or failure? And I believe he can. If anybody knows me and anybody that's seen my videos in the past, I truly think that when you look at a player like Jaxson Dart, he's flying under the radar in ways that he probably shouldn't. Yeah, Carson Beck is going to get a lot of love because he plays for a team that many believe will win a national championship. Quinn Ewers is going to get a lot of love because if he's coming over to a conference where last year he balled out and was the reason why the Longhorns went to the 14 playoff to begin with. And Jalen Milroe's at Alabama, and he gets to work with a guy that just fixed Michael Penix and turned him into a top 10 pick despite having 2 torn ACLs and no longer ligaments in his knee. But Jaxson Dart is going into year 3 with Lane Kiffin's offense. There's nothing else to learn. Everything at this point is mastering. Everything at this point is building a completion, a harmonious symphony of charisma and consistency. That's what you're getting this year from Jaxson Dart. And imagine if he does ball out with all these wide receivers, because it's great to have a good supporting cast, but somebody's got to get them to rock. So it's like one of those times when you talk about how Devonta Smith won the Heisman in 2020. He won the Heisman because he was the only weapon that Mac Jones could target consistently. That won't be the case down in Oxford this year. Trey Harris is great. Caden Prescorn is great. Juice Wells is about ready to squeeze the life out of a nickel defender. You have Jordan Watkins that is flying as an underappreciated player in the conference. There are going to be dudes that will step up and deliver for Dart, but Dart has to be the difference maker. And imagine if he does. Imagine if that completion percentage goes from 62.3% to 69.4%. Imagine if that passer rating goes from 178 to 224. Imagine if his yards per attempt go from 7.2 to 9.1. Imagine if his imagine if his touchdown percentage goes from 22 to 35. Imagine if he starts to run inside the red zone. We're not talking about a quarterback that's just good. We're talking about one that's great. And I'm going to make this abundantly clear. When I talk about quarterbacks, I talk about them from the collegiate perspective, not the NFL perspective. Yeah, Shedeur Sanders, Quinn Ewers, and even Carson Beck may be better quarterbacks for the pros, but Dart might be the reason why we're talking about him as a legend down in Oxford. The way we talk about Stetson Bennett, although one was a 4-star and one has 4 stars of actual AARP attached to his name. When I look at Dart this year, I have high hopes for him. And I'm not talking about high hopes just for the Rebels. I'm talking about for him, where maybe an All-SEC contender is in the line. Maybe a All-American honor is in the line. Maybe a trip to New York is on the line. In fact, I'm just going to call my shot right now. I believe Jaxson Dart wins the Heisman Trophy in 2024. He is the reason why Ole Miss gets to be a part of the college football playoff. And he is a reason why the Rebels are going to be a semifinal roster when it all is said and done. And Lane Kiffin finally sheds the narrative of being just a passed-on coach that learned everything underneath Nick Saban and no longer can do anything but get to this one stage. No, he can be one of the best coaches in college football, because he has one of the best quarterbacks in college football. If Jaxson Dart is as advertised, he learns how to go from, just like I did, the blacks to the double blacks to going down moguls, going from being a great quarterback to an elite quarterback that can defy the expectations and actually guide his roster to a college football playoff. Make no mistake, the Big Apple is going to be a big time for Ole Miss fans because they are going to watch their quarterback finally take home college football's most coveted award. And you can bet your bottom dollar that I am drinking the Kool-Aid whenever it comes to Jaxson Dart. But make sure that you go ahead and hit the comment section down below. Who do you think is the X factor for Ole Miss? Who is the X factor for your team? Like, rate, review, subscribe. Make sure that you're following us on all social media, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, at Mr. Cole Thompson. And make sure that you keep up with the #1 content by following us at SECUnfiltered.com. I'm Cole Thompson. Until next time, folks. Later.